Hi, this is Noah Zerby. Welcome to my Model United Nations video series. This video series focuses on preparing students to be familiar with the rules of debate used at the Model United Nations of the Far West Conference, held every April in San Francisco. While the video focuses on the rules for MUNFW, the basic concepts of parliamentary procedure are applicable to Model United Nations conferences more generally. In this video, we look at the process for setting up for conference. Before the first speaker takes the floor, a number of things need to be resolved. Roll must be taken, and perhaps most importantly, the order of business must be established. Generally, the first thing that will happen when you get into committee at conference is that the chair will take roll. This process will be repeated at the start of each day, after most long breaks, and before the start of voting block. Taking roll is important as it establishes the number of votes required to pass a motion. If you were late to committee and miss your country's name being called, be sure to send a note to the chair informing them that you've arrived. At some conferences, there is a difference between present and voting. Delegates who identify as present and voting are not permitted to abstain on any substantive matter and must either vote in favor or against any substantive motion before the committee. At other conferences, including Model United Nations of the Far West, no distinction is made. I therefore always advise my students to respond with present. This gives them the flexibility in how to approach various issues, regardless of the rules of the committee or the conference. Once roll is completed, the first order of business for any committee is to establish the order of items on the agenda in which they will be considered. This is done through P10, order of the agenda or order of business. At the start of the committee, the chair will ask if there are any points or motions on the floor. This is your chance to set the order your committee will discuss its agenda items. To do this, you rise under a P10, order of agenda item. The chair, once recognizes you, will let you know that that's in order, and then will ask what order you propose. You may propose any order you like, with the exception of the order listed in the program, 1, 2, 3. This order is referred to as the default or secretariat order and is used if no other order receives the support of a majority of delegates. You may not request an order that's already been requested, and obviously you cannot request 1, 2, 3. If someone's already requested the order of 3, 1, 2, for example, you cannot propose 3, 1, 2, but you could propose 3, 2, 1. The chair will collect a number of proposals for alternative orders, for example 312, 213, and so on. Once there are no further proposals, the committee will vote on each order, and the first order to receive a majority support is the order that will be used at the conference. The order of the agenda is very important. Your committee will spend the bulk of its time discussing and debating the first agenda item. It will spend less time on the second agenda item, and it will likely not finish the third agenda item. You therefore want your preferred agenda item to be the first in the order. To that end, it's useful to call for a P27 suspension of the meeting before voting in order to caucus and garner support for a specific agenda order preferred by your country. It's also important to remember that you can vote for any number of proposed agenda orders. The other rule used to help set the structure of debate is P3, powers of the chair. This is a broad rule with many uses at conference. This rule permits the chairs to call the meeting to order, set limits on speaking times, limit the number and time for comments and questions after each speaker, and to propose suspension or adjournment of the meeting. These decisions can be appealed, or the body may request from the chair different speaking times or different rules to govern debate. However, ultimate authority for these decisions rests with the chair. That covers the early rules used at conference. You should now be ready to explore some of the more advanced rules used at Far West.